got the Stormers and the Lions next weekend, I believe, so that should also be a good indication of where those teams are. And yes, Garen, as you mentioned, with the sort of more administrative side of things, SANS are confirming that the tournament next year would be reduced to 15 sides. 2 sides from South Africa getting the chop and 1 from Australia. Do you think it's fair, and do you think that fans can look forward to a more manageable tournament and a better spectacle?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't think it ever should have gone to the Super 18. It just became so clumsy, so cumbersome. Nobody really knew what was going on. You weren't playing every single team. The way you qualified for the playoffs was so difficult to understand. The logic that New Zealand teams could dominate but could only host 1 of the 4 quarterfinals. So, this is sort of a throwback to Super 15. We've got the 3 conferences. We'll now have 4 South African teams plus the Jaguars in the South African conference. You'll have 4 Australian teams plus the Sunwolves in a very weak Australian conference, and then the 5 New Zealand teams that we've got to know so well in the New Zealand conference. Then you pretty much play everyone in your own division, home and away. That's 8 matches, and then you play 4 of the 5 Australian teams and 4 of the 5 New Zealand teams. 2 home, 2 away. It gives you 16 matches, which is actually 1 more than this year. But it's just a little bit fairer, if you like. The conference winners will all go through, and then the next best 5 teams with the next best 5 point tallies will also go through to the quarterfinals. I still expect New Zealand to pretty much dominate that. The South African teams with the Jaguars is a tough conference to be. It must be said. They're all going to have to go to sort of Buenos Aires to play there, so it's no guarantee. The question really is the identity of these 4 South African teams. It's sort of a given, although not confirmed, it has to be said, that the Cheetahs and the Kings are going to be the 2 teams to miss out. SA Rugby have given themselves until the end of June, which is a long time to decide which 2 teams are going to go. I guess they could either go completely, and then those players are sort of divvied up amongst the 4 South African teams that remain, or we might see a throwback to the Cats with the Cheetahs and joining the Lions, and then the Kings maybe joining the Sharks or the Stormers. So that all remains to be seen. Obviously, Australia got their issues as well. They're going to have to drop a team. Looks like the Force or the Rebels, as we said. They said in 3 days' time they'll actually reveal which team is going to go. SA Rugby are giving themselves a lot longer. But I think in the long run, it's probably
because of the politics.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the long run, it's probably the way forward. I think some people even want Super 14 or Super 12, very much a strength versus strength. But Super 15 is what it's going to be for the next couple of years, starting next year.
And just amazing how things have changed. I mean, not so long ago, the Lions were the team that were sort of relegated from the South African conference.
Absolutely. That's the beauty about rugby. Actually, funny enough, the Bulls have made their worst start to Super Rugby since 2002, where they lost all 11 games. So you can see how they've changed. They came back to win it 3 times in the interim. But they've sort of gone on a bit of a roller coaster ride. As you said, the Lions were once the whipping boys of Super Rugby. Now they're the standout team. The Sharks have their problems. Stormers have sort of flown under the radar, but have had more success than failure, I guess. But it's really been the Cheetahs and the Kings of late that haven't really flown the South African flag like I think SA Rugby would have liked.
So, Garen, the Kings, obviously, we know that that's also been quite a contentious issue over the years. In terms of trying to develop players from that area, how do you see that going forward?
That's going to be the tricky one. We fought so hard to have them included because everyone's aware of the fact that there are so much, especially the black talent that comes out of the Eastern Cape. And so to now, after fighting so hard, then do away with them, which is sort of telling me, in the little bird in the back of my mind, that perhaps they're going to find a way to still include the Kings. Either they're going to play matches at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, no matter who's actually playing there, and it's sort of a neutral venue, or they're going to take the Kings and make sure that they are spread out amongst maybe the Sharks or the Stormers, the coastal teams, to make sure that they're not lost in the system. All that talent that's come through is not now finally lost. We must also remember that the Kings have been axed from the Currie Cup, which is in itself a bit of a strange decision. So it's gone to strength for strength. So it didn't ever make sense to have no Kings playing Currie Cup, but then to have them playing Super Rugby. They've got nothing to sort of to practice and warm up and find their combinations there. So it's a bit of a sad day, I think, for Eastern Cape Rugby. Obviously, Cheeky Watson, he's been ousted as president. They've got a new president. Sadly for him, this might be his first call to make, that tell his union that there won't be any Super Rugby in the Eastern Cape. So, but there's still some time. A lot of lobbying for participation for sure in the next couple of months. But let's wait and see what happens.
Okay, Garen, thank you.
Thanks very much, Nick.